Good evening, everybody. So glad to see everybody. We're about to start. So thank you very much for being here. I hope everybody enjoyed the film. Did everybody get a chance to see the film? That's wonderful. So I'm here with Joella Crichton and Chris Strikes. And Chris is the director, and Joella obviously is featured in the film. And it's about being a queen. And I'm Nicola Williams. I'm president of the Cambridge Carnival. Many of you may know of Cambridge Carnival. We're the little sister to Boston Carnival. We haven't had a Cambridge Carnival in 2 years, but we're going to have something September 12th this year. We're still trying to figure it out, but we're going to have maybe emancipation from the vaccine celebration. But I'm so glad to have fellow carnivalists in the room. It was so wonderful viewing the film and just getting a bird's eye view of what happens behind the scenes from what I call a carnivalist and fine artist, and your experience with your family, and just about carnival outside of the Caribbean, and just the love and the commitment and the dedication to this art form that we all love, and toil to make happen every year. And so I'm so pleased to have you here, and I have a few questions for you, and would love to also hear from the audience. So I'd like for you to both formally introduce yourselves, and then I'll just go straight into the questions. So we'll start with ladies first. Joella.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joella Crichton, and I am a performer. I live in Toronto. I'm also an activist. I've been doing some work for theaters here in Toronto to combat anti-Black racism. And I, like Nicola said, am definitely a carnivalist. And I'm really glad you guys are able to see the film and sort of get a little taste of who I am and some of the work I've done for Carnival here in Toronto.
Chris,
hey
go ahead.
everybody. Hey everybody, I'm Chris Strikes, producer director of Becoming a Queen, based in Toronto. And a bit of my background is I started directing music videos and then expanded into directing short films and documentaries, and now this being the first feature-length documentary. And I actually used to shoot carnival events and parades as part of my videography work for hire years ago, leading up to this film. So that's a little bit of my background with this. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Yeah. So my first question is for you, Chris. What inspired you to do this film?
You know what? When I first walked into Joella's mother's house, Luann, when you walk in, there's all these blown up photos of Joella, past queen costumes and performances. Her chest pieces and headdresses are all displayed all over the house, and I was like, this is a mini carnival museum here. And I was like, and I asked Joella, has anybody ever told your story? And she was like, no, some people have approached her before, but it never really materialized to anything. And so at that time, this was back in 2017, and she was aiming to win her 9th at the time. And I was like, Joella, if you win this year, that means next year you're going to be going for 10, and maybe we should tell your story. And I kind of said it as a joke, and then I remember Joella was like, nah, kind of a little bit hesitant, but I said it as a joke as well too. And then when she won her 9th in 2017, I was like, no, I think we should really do this documentary, right? like let's meet sometime and sit down and let me ask you like some questions just to see what your life has been like and your involvement in Carnival has been like. And then we had that sort of, I guess, like pre-interview, and then I was just like, no, I think this is a project that we should really do, because this is something incredible that you're aiming to achieve. And you know, I think we should document this, because there isn't a story that exists like this.
Well, this was wonderful. So Joella, I have a question for you. You know, a lot of people don't realize how heavy these costumes are. And well, certainly when they saw you, they heard about the costume going backwards, and how that it really takes a lot of you know, welding and wire bending, and just really it's more than a craft. But can you tell us, you know, what we saw, that you were certainly a performer, you're an actress, and you have to be basically an athlete to do this. I mean, do you find that that was one of that helped you to stay competitive?
Oh, definitely. Like, I think part of the challenge is the way the costume fits and how it feels. And you know, every year it's different because we use different materials. You know, in the documentary, the one we're really working on has like a lot of satin on it. That might be lighter weight than maybe somebody who has a lot of gold paillettes, like little circle decorations, or you know, beading, stuff like that. So every year you sort of have to wait to the moment to go, oh gosh, this thing is really heavy, like how am I going to do this? But part of the preparation for that is you know, working out and obviously being healthy. But I do have to say, Nicola, like when you get on stage, sort of those things kind of fall away and you sort of get into the performance of it. And there has been years where I thought, oh gosh, this is really heavy, but you know, I'm so excited to perform, in the adrenaline that kind of gets you through. So yeah.
And it's interesting how you said that when your mom, you just happened to be home first. Your mom said to choose this, and how it shaped, you know, your sort of destiny, you know, over, you know, 8, 9, 10 competitions. And so, you know, it's almost like you said, you were waiting, this was your moment, right?
Yeah, and I didn't know, I found out that story like when Chris was doing the movie, because I didn't know that apparently it was sort of, you know, just up in the air with who could have done it. And of course my sister had way more of a background performing in the individual costumes from a young age, where I sort of always, I hate to call people shy, but I kind of, I guess for lack of a better word, shied away from that sort of attention. And I, you know, I think Kenny said in the movie that he called me timid, which I'm going to have to talk to him about that because because you cannot be timid. However, I do feel like there was a lot of growth that happened, and you know, sometimes you do just have to dive into the deep end, or else you'll never do something. And my love for costume making and my love for, you know, performing at the parade, and you know, really pushed me that day. And I was like, oh, I want to try, like, you know, let's go for it. And I really fell in love after that first performance of being on stage and experiencing that audience. So, you know, I always say to people, if you get an opportunity to, you know, try something, even if it's like an individual in the parade or, you know, a special costume, go for it, because it really enhances that feeling. It really enhances the joy, and it's really magical. So,
yeah. It's interesting how you didn't know a lot of these things, but Chris, you captured it, right? So how did you capture this tension and passion amongst the family?
I mean, I was just there, really and truly, just there, and I guess I sort of knew to look out for it, because part of what Joella and I had talked about in the pre-interview is that during the lead up to Carnival, things do get tense and things do get heated. And you know, one of my concerns was I was a little bit worried at first that what, like, just in being there, like maybe people might be a little bit shy for the camera, or I should say conscious that the camera is there and not, and sort of hold back on that. But it turned out that, like, you know, as they were focusing more and more on the costume as we're leading up to the event, like when we're like a couple of weeks out or a week out, I think people had gotten used to me being there with the camera, and so they just sort of forgot that it was there, and like, you know, true emotions and true expressions came out. So I would definitely have to credit Joella for like giving me that heads up that it does get like that in the final couple of weeks leading up to Carnival.
That's great. The questions are coming in, which is great. There's a question that's coming in, but just before that one, Joella, tell us about your sort of the future. What do you see the future of this art form in Carnival? You know, you mentioned that it in, you know, in going to school and sort of how it was being perceived as a craft, and why do you think it's important to recognize it as fine art, and where do you see the future, your future in this? Do you think you'll be like Kenny, or, you know, what is your role in it, in advancing and preserving this beautiful thing for our culture?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, Nicola. Like, it really matters to me that it continues, because I feel like it has been such a big part of my life, and you know, all these years, and I'm hoping to share that with the next generation. You know, like Kenny said, he's gonna go till he can't walk anymore, and that inspires me to say, okay, well, what can I do? And I feel like I have one foot sort of in the costume making aspect, but then one foot sort of in inspiring our young people to get involved in their culture. You know, I was able to do two programs before COVID, that were based on Caribbean culture and Caribbean art, and really getting the kids to understand that, you know, that it is fine art, that it takes skill and practice, and it's something that you can be involved in. It's something you should be really proud of because it's ours. And you know, in one way, like, you know, when my mom was saying that she came to Canada and she got the kids involved and she really wanted to do a kids band, that was my big introduction to mass here, and that's something that I think I would be excited about doing. I'm also expecting a baby. I am past my due date.
Congratulations.
So any day right now I could have a baby, and I'm hoping, you know, that if thanks, if I can, it's about inspiring, you know, my child and the friends of my kids and the family member of my child to, you know, to be involved in this art form, and to see how they can express themselves, and how they can, you know, grow and learn in it. And it really is an art form that truly is passed on from the elders to the young people. And so we have to be open to that, and we have to take people like Kenny and other people I saw in the film, that I know, you know, were the first people who created costumes here in Toronto, to really, you know, share it with me so that I can share it with another. And the beautiful thing about Caribbean people is that they're open to that, and I'm going to be open with that as well when I go on to, you know, share my experiences being queen.
That's great. Good leaders develop good leaders. So that's great for your leadership. So Chris, tell us about the music. You know, part of Carnival is that, I mean, you can't, you know, in the parade, in Cambridge, you know, we don't, people can't really play mass without music, you know, and we don't have big streets. So we've had to evolve here. You know, we call ourselves organic. But we even say, just put the music in a pickup truck if you need to in the back. But we, you know, you need to move to the groove. And one of the things that and so the music is very important, and you've done a masterful work in incorporating music, and I understand your own music into film. Could you talk about it?
Yeah, so right from the very jump, I knew I wanted this to be a very musical documentary. Music itself is a character in the film, and that was a decision I made at the very, very beginning of the process. And I have to give a lot of credit to our sound editor and music producer and composer, Derek Bryn, and then also to our secondary composer, Felix Arafin. Derek Bryn, all the soca, most of the soca music that you hear in there, about 95% of it is from Derek Bryn's creation. And so it was really important for me that I partnered on this film with someone who had that experience with producing soca music, someone who understood the flavor of Caribbean culture, which Derek very much does. He himself is Caribbean, and Felix added some of the more emotional tones to the film. And Felix is somebody who I've worked with over the years, and he came in and added some of the emotional tones to the film. So yeah, just from the jump, the music, I made a very early decision that the music was going to play as a character in the film. And you know, we even had a segment in an earlier cut of the film that didn't make the final film, talking about soca music, and where Joella expressed her love and her views on soca music and the role that soca music has in Caribbean culture and Caribbean lifestyle, even just beyond Carnival. So, you know, the music is absolutely had to be a character in this.
It certainly was. It came across that way. Excellent job. Another question for you, Chris, is with this. So you talked about, you know, the emotion with so many ups and downs in the story. Do you feel that you were emotionally invested in Joella's win in the story?
I was. On the day, I was upset.
Mm-hmm.
I was upset. You know, Joella shows her upset on camera, but obviously you don't see me on behind camera. But I was upset that she didn't win. And then you know, a couple of friends who were there on the day, or who I'd spoken to tell them what the result was. They were like, you know, you probably have a more interesting story now that it went the way that it did, because you know, if she'd won, maybe that's what everybody would have expected, but this is a twist that maybe nobody saw coming. So so yeah, so I you know, I sat with that, and you know, after Carnival weekend, because I still had to King and Queen happens on the Thursday, and then the parade happens on the Saturday. So I still had to go to the parade and film as well too. And then, you know, just being at the parade, I just let that sink in. I was like, you know what, I think they're right. I think it does make for a more interesting story, the way that things turned out, and it does throw like a curveball into it. And then when you find out a couple weeks later, like why she actually lost, like that in itself was a whole nother twist in it, as well too, that I couldn't believe when I heard that.
Part two, right? Part two of the documentary, right?
Well, I mean, it's in there. It's in there. I don't want to give away just in case if anybody is on here that hasn't seen it. But when they talk about why it happened the way that it happened, like, you know, that was a very surprising thing for me when I had heard it in real time.
Right.
I was surprised too.
Yeah. Well, speaking of,
still looks disappointed about it.
yeah. Well, speaking of the competition, let's talk about money. You know, let people know, you know, what is the prize pool for winning. And I mean, in Cambridge, we have levels, first place, second place, etc., and we adjust the purse accordingly. But it'll be interesting to know, what is the prize pool, and does it really pay for all the effort, time, the artists, and then a follow-up would be, how is the government, what's the government's role of Toronto in this, in terms of investing in the arts form?
So I guess I can field this question, and then Chris, maybe you can jump in about the government stuff. But on my end, as a queen, I have to fund my own costumes. So most of the men and women and the individuals who are playing the big costumes, and actually any masquerader, is paying for their own costume. Costumes can be thousands of dollars. They can be 20,000, they can be 30,000, 15,000. It depends on what you're making, but they are quite expensive, and they take a lot of labor as well. And so we have to spend months and months working in the mass camp, and a lot of times we do that for free. When it comes to winning, the top 4 people win a cash prize. In 4th place is $1,100. In 2nd place, and I'm not 1,000% sure about exact, it's $1,100, and then in 3rd place is $2,200. In 2nd place would be $3,300, and then in 1st place it's just a little bit under $5,000. And I've always been open and transparent about this with our family. We sort of use the money from the winning from the year before, and we sort of just put it back into the costume for the next year, and that's how we've been able to fund and create new pieces. One of the tricky things, Nicola, is that in Toronto, there's a rule that you can't use a costume from any year prior, and you can't use a costume from another country. So, it makes it tricky for people, because then that means that you do have to invest in getting new materials and, the labor to make everything brand new. So it's kind of challenging, and it's sort of difficult to accept, because people do have to pay to go to the show, and that money goes somewhere, and people do, they put on this big spectacle. But if it wasn't for us making the costumes, the King and Queen show just wouldn't exist. When it comes to the government, they do support the carnival in general, but I know that a lot of the money that we do, that the FMC, which is the Festival Management Committee, they're the ones that organize all the events for Carnival. They have to pay out of pocket for things like cleaning up after the parade or police services. And a lot of that eats up a lot of the money. So most of the band leaders and the bands, they look for sponsors, and they field a lot of the costs themselves through selling costumes, etc. Did you want to add to that, Chris?
Yeah, I can definitely add to that. And just to make a little revision, so I believe in the last physical carnival that we had in 2019, I believe the city of Toronto did actually waive some of those municipal fees, such as policing and emergency services. I'm not sure if they also waived it for cleanup. I'm not 100% sure about that. But Joella is correct in saying, like, for many, many years prior, the organizers did have to pay for policing, emergency services, and the cleanup afterwards, which takes away from the money that could go to the people that actually put the parade on, and the people that spend many, many hours, weeks, months, almost like once one carnival finishes, you're almost immediately preparing for next year's carnival, right? So there's always been this big conversation of like just the issues with financing, and could the government on a municipal level, so Toronto, and then on a provincial level, Ontario, could they do more to fund Carnival, given how much Carnival brings to the city and province and even the country on a federal level as well too. So, there's this thing that, like, does the funding match what we bring into it and what Carnival brings into it? And many people will agree that it does not match, and that there is potentially more that could be done to allow the artisans of the festival to be better compensated. And prize money be inflated as well too, to like something significant. I know one of the things that Kenny and I talked about, that was sort of an off-camera conversation, is like, he was like, you know, he does costumes in some of these in carnivals in some smaller Caribbean countries, and he's like, the prize money there is huge. It puts Toronto's prize money a little bit to shame, and you know, it's something that he doesn't quite understand, because it's like, here's like these smaller countries that you know, their overall financing or funding just for their economy is a lot less than Canada, or a lot less than even just Ontario, but yet they provide so much more funding for even just the prize money and for the festival to be put on. So these are definitely conversations that I know are probably happening behind the scenes with FMC and with stakeholders and with band leaders and stuff like that, and with government officials or financing ministers. So hopefully in the not too far away future, we can see a lot better compensation for the artists who put this festival on year after year.
Yep, it's also valuing that. And so, you know, it's not just a Toronto problem. It's a problem for carnivals all over the world. For example, London did a study about 17 years ago that said that the Notting Hill Carnival generated 94 million pounds, 3,000 jobs for the city, and a million people. And most of that money wasn't going back to the artists. And so we do need to value the artists, the fine artists that are preserving this culture and making Carnival what it is. So, you know, it's really important. You know, we have a couple more questions before we wrap up. Joella, for you, what does it feel like to be a living legend, from a fellow carnivalist who asked the question?
I don't look at it that way. And I think, I know I've had this conversation so much. And like, Chris and I used to talk about this, and I was like, I'm not a legend. I haven't done anything. But I do feel like it's important to, you know, be proud of what we've accomplished, be proud of the art form, and, you know, use that status to help and continue to promote what this art really is and how it impacts and helps other people. So yeah, and you know, sometimes I was this is a really random story, it just came to my head, but I was I was shopping at the liquor store just to get a bottle of wine, and and just came up to me and goes, "Oh, is that what you drink when you go on stage for King Queen?" I was like, "No, I do not drink before the show. Thank you very much." But I just thought that was so funny, because I had never seen him before, and you know, here's just somebody who obviously knows who I am, and just wanted to say hello. And I think you know, being that person is always good, as long as you know you use it in the right way and you use it to help others.
Great. So Chris, do you play mass?
I have not played mass yet. However, when we went to St. Vincent, I did t-shirt mass before, which is on the Monday, before big mass on the Tuesday. So when we were in St. Vincent, I just had a day where I told Joella and her family, Mishka was there, her sister, and Luann was there, her mother. And I was like, you know, on Monday, I'm gonna play mass with you guys for t-shirt mass, because I'm not even gonna bring the camera. I'm just gonna play mass, and then Tuesday I'll bring the camera and we'll film. We'll shoot for the documentary. In 2020, once the film was done, I had actually planned to play mass, but unfortunately the pandemic happened, and you know, no carnivals happened after Trinidad's carnival. So 2022, if Toronto has a physical carnival again, I do plan to play mass for the first time in Toronto, because I'm normally filming, so I actually want to play mass, not have a camera in my hand. So yeah,
that's great. That's great. A couple more.
I guess I see you on the road, Chris. Maybe we'll be in the same section.
We will be. I'm definitely gonna ask you what section you're in.
Well, that's a question that came up earlier is, Joella, do you feel after you're not winning or retiring that you will compete again in the future?
I would actually love to compete again. I think like, you know, because we've had the wins and stuff, I'd really like to do something that's really like unique, like, you know, really push our creativity. And I think like since we've had that break from all the competing,
Hmm.
like readjust things. And even though I am a very competitive person, I would just love to try something, you know, that I personally have never seen before. So it's in my mind, yes.
Great, do it, they're saying. And then last question, do you think, or a couple more, but do you think this Chris and Joella could consider doing a mini series or reality TV show to further elevate this art form? Have you considered that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible to do something like that, and I think it would just have to be the right project on the table, because there are definitely lots of carnival stories to be told. Like we didn't even touch on Steel Pan and Panalize in this film, and like that's a whole art form and a whole story of its own. You know what I mean? So there is an opportunity to do like a little mini series showing all the different elements of carnival and
Static sound system, stuff like that.
yeah, and really diving deeper into the history as well too, and where certain characters that often get portrayed at carnivals, where they come from and things like that. So there's an opportunity for that, and it just has to be the right project.
Great. So final question is, Lisa, when will Canadians be able to see the film?
Soon. I gotta stay tight-lipped on that, but
Okay.
but soon there will be a Canadian screening, but soon enough.
Well, you see, I have lots of family in Toronto and Ottawa and Montreal, and we have a family Zoom every Saturday, so they want to know.
Soon. All I can say right now is soon.
Okay.
Yeah, all I can say right now is soon. But for
Soon
anybody who
come.
does
Soon come.
soon come. But for anybody who does not already follow the Instagram accounts for the film, it's at Becoming a Queen the doc. So as soon as
See that again? At Becoming a Queen.
at Becoming a Queen the doc. Again, that's at Becoming a Queen the doc. So just follow the account. We're gonna update it as soon as more screening news comes out, and once we're able to announce screening dates, we're definitely gonna update it. So just sit tight.
Great. Well, we're so grateful as Allison and Lisa. Thank you so much, Allison and Lisa and the Roxbury Film Festival family, for elevating our Caribbean culture here in Boston and sharing the gifts of Joella and Chris with us in our community and a greater community in Boston. So thank you so much. I'm thrilled to have seen the film and to meet you guys, and hope to stay in touch, and hopefully I'll be playing mass with you too in 2022.
Yeah,
Sure, I gotta come check out Carnival in Cambridge.
We have a lot of Canadians come down to Boston. It's only 5.5 hours from Montreal, but I don't know, 12 hours from Toronto.
I'll be bringing my costume, Nicola, and I will come and join your band.
You're gonna bring what?
I'll be bringing one of my costumes. And
what? This year? No, you're having a baby.
Not this year. I'm having, but maybe next year if you guys invite me.
Oh yes, whatever you need, we will write a letter. Whatever you need. That'll be great. We would love to have you in our organic carnival.
And if I can say really quickly, thank you so much to the Roxbury Film Festival for screening the film. Definitely appreciate you guys. Lisa and Allison, I appreciate you guys. Roxbury community, Boston, Massachusetts, New England. I appreciate you guys. Love from Toronto. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the festival. Thanks,
Thank
Elisa.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.